Hello, hello. Good morning. Happy hump day. It is Wednesday, July 16th in the day of our Lord Donald Trump. I am Manila Chan coming in hot today on this Wednesday. I mean, literally, I'm freaking furious. I have some stuff to deal with because adulting sucks and I don't recommend it to anybody. Adulting sucks ass. Property ownership sucks ass. And I have some fires to put out. I'm going to leave it vague, Ted, because, for various reasons, but I'm pissed off and I highly recommend not adulting if you can avoid it because it freaking sucks. So I'm coming in hot. That over there, the much calmer Ted Rall, the feisty and angry Manila Chan on the TMI Show, Ted Manila Information Show. We got a lot on the docket, so we got to cut to the chase because I got to run suddenly. We're live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Please be sure to hit the like and the follow button, especially those of you out in YouTube world. It'll really help us get this show monetized and get it finally off the ground. We got a late start on YouTube, so hopefully you guys can help us by following and hit the subscribe button. We're live Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So on today's docket, the big news is Russia, Ukraine. As much as Ted and I are so tired of this topic, that is the big news because I don't know. I think it's a case of Taco Trump flip-flopping. He says one thing in public and then who knows what the hell he's saying in private about the situation. But he's definitely flip-flopping on the issue. We're going to talk about Hunter Biden because I don't know, somehow dude is trying to remain relevant, I guess, because his artwork industry has dried up, Ted. So he's now talking about pops and how
the art world, the tastes in art are very fickle. And Hunter found that, just by coincidence, as soon as his father dropped out of the race, the demand for his work, purely coincidental, wasn't as much as before.
So now he's hitting the
no
podcast
relationship between
scene.
those two things at all.
No, none. But now the younger Biden is hitting the podcast scene. We'll tell you what he's saying. Also, we'll head over.
Hunter, we love you. Come on the TMI show.
I would totally talk to Hunter. Just give him Parmesan cheese. Parmesan cheese. I mean, he admitted that he snorted it because he thought it was blow.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in his book, in his like tell-all from like 2 years ago, he admitted that he was fiending for the stuff so bad that at one point he said in his book, he said at one point he saw like some white crumbly stuff in the rug and he snorted it.
This is just
like
that movie,
Parmesan cheese.
That movie with Richard Pryor, JoJo Dancer, which is semi-autobiographical, and the coke falls into the shag carpeting, and he's up. And this happened apparently to Richard Pryor when he was in the throes of addiction, and he was like down there on the ground snorting it out of the nasty pile of the carpet.
This wasn't
great movie, by the way. Totally forgotten today. Great movie. Well worth watching.
Yes, it's based on Pryor's real life issues and this circumstances in his life as he was coming up. But for the younger Biden, he said so very recently in his book from like 2 or 3 years ago that it was indeed Parmesan cheese.
Well, I mean, he could have gone for the feta. I mean, who knows?
That's a big snort if you're going for
the Saint Andre. I'm a Saint Andre man myself. I don't know. I've never snorted anything. I can't even imagine snorting anything. It seems like I don't even understand. Like, okay, so this is going to be like
the pool water when it goes up your nose, it stings, right?
Right, and that's at least a liquid. I mean, I can't imagine putting a powder or something that's not a liquid up there. I mean, this is kind of like how homophobes say, like, the butt is one way, everything's supposed to go out, not in. I feel like the nose is like that. Nose is supposed to be it's a point of egress, not a point of ingress. Yeah.
Right. I would concur. Then we'll head over across the pond to Great Britain, who apparently had some total tech trouble, to say the least. This whole scheme to bring in like thousands of Afghan refugees whose data, who worked with the Brits during wartime, their data got leaked and their lives
just another reason not to be a traitor.
So these people are, I don't know, they're trying to like secretly smuggle them in, and then now the British population have been made aware of this leak and this secret smuggling operation. So human smuggling, I would say the British Parliament is engaged in human smuggling, Ted. That's effectively what it is.
We'll talk about that.
When you boil down brass tacks, that's what it is. They're trying to smuggle in thousands of people below the radar.
We'll talk.
We'll tell you the details.
Robbie may have thoughts. Anyway.
We'll tell you the details on that. Then we'll go over to Germany and tell you about a weird ass story about tarantulas, thousands of them, in a cake box. That's all I'm going to say about that. And then we'll tell you today, this day in history. Stick around to find out what that is, because it literally changed the course of mankind. So if you want to know, sit around, because here we go. Wait for the jaws.
Manila, I'm sad that you're going through stuff, but I like this high energy version of you. Anyway, the Financial Times reported.
Angry!
I like it. Keep it up. The Financial Times is reporting that Trump privately asked the Z-Man, Zelensky, whether Zelensky could hit Moscow and St. Petersburg if D.C. supplied long-range weapons. Zelensky said, yeah, because long range by definition means long range. Asked by reporters whether Zelensky ought to do it, however, Trump said, no, he shouldn't target Moscow. So White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt accused the Financial Times of twisting Trump's words, saying it's notorious for taking words wildly out of context to get clicks because their paper is dying. Leavitt insisted that Trump was merely asking a question, not encouraging further killing, stressing that the president was working tirelessly to stop the killing and end the war. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said that as a rule, all of this usually turns out to be fake, but he said that sometimes there are indeed serious leaks, even in publications we once considered quite respectable. Russia says it's still open to negotiating with Ukraine, but is waiting for a response about, like, hey, when are the next peace talks going to be held? So it's hard to negotiate because the ball is in the Ukrainians' court. The two sides have held 2 rounds of direct negotiations in Turkey so far this year. Nothing much happened except they exchanged some prisoners. Sergey Lavrov, foreign minister of the Russian Federation, said that the EU and NATO have put Trump under improper pressure to adopt a hardline stance on the conflict. Hard to argue with Lavrov there at all. So basically, Manila, what this boils down to is the question of what Trump meant, which is always a question, and it will, and as he approaches the age of 80, will probably become more and more of a question. But basically, the question was like, it sounds to me like what Trump is. I actually believe Trump's people on this. That Trump was saying to Zelensky, if I were, this is the conditional tense in French, if I were to give you a long-range missile, would you physically be capable of hitting Moscow and St. Petersburg? Zelensky said, yeah, of course. And then Trump is saying, that's not the same as saying, I want to give long-range missiles to Zelensky, and I want him to hit Moscow and St. Petersburg. Those are not the same thing. That's true. And
no.
and I think,
and I get that.
And I noticed this myself before Trump pushed back on it. I remember just reading the article and just thinking it was a conflation on the part, not just of the Financial Times, but everybody who reported about this. I was like, but that's not the same thing, and it's just sort of, I don't know. I mean, Trump lies like the day is long, but so does the mainstream media. So, I mean, this was just a case where I got to say, I believe Trump.
Really? You believe him?
Well, yeah, because it's not the same thing. It's like
no, I agree with that, but we're playing semantics talking about Trump here. Like this clip that's rolling in the background.
Semantics matter. I mean, Trump say. I mean, I think. Look, honestly, the Trump stance here and should be like, look, I asked Zelensky, what I asked Zelensky is in theory, and then it's not in fact. I mean, maybe I want to give Zelensky or threaten to give Zelensky long-term missiles to pressure the Russians. Maybe I give them long-range missiles so the Russians are scared because now they can be hit in Moscow and St. Petersburg. But that's not the same thing as authorizing Zelensky to use them. Well, that's true.
I get that too. I get
it's like
that.
If I give you a gun, Manila, and then I say, that's not the same, and I ask you, could you shoot a certain former Los Angeles Times publisher? That's not the same thing as saying,
like, theoretically,
gun,
I could.
Please shoot him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like, theoretically, yes, I could. Like, can you shoot this bottle at 30 yards?
Right.
Theoretically, I could.
Right.
Will I? Are you asking me to do it right now?
Right.
Firing my firearm in a public space.
That's exactly it. It's
so
like if I give you a cake and I say, if I give you this cake, can you eat this cake? You'll say, yeah. And then say, but that's not the same thing as saying, eat this cake.
Like, Manila, eat this cake. No, I agree with that. And only especially because, Ted, we all grew up with Donald Trump being a public figure, and we understand that he says weird shit that sometimes has no meaning, right? Like, that's the reality, is Donald Trump speaks in these weird, not even like a regular New Yorker, because New Yorkers are really direct.
Yeah, it's not a New York thing. No.
He talks, he just has his own way of speaking, and we're familiar with that as Americans.
Yeah, he has so many, about linguistic forensics, right? It's where and he has so many tics. Like, he has
really
no one
strange
else
way
like him.
No.
That's why it's so easy to mimic him. I mean, if you had a Paul,
but this is
why. Like that,
but that's the But the problem here is the fear of lost in translation, because the Ukrainians, I mean, Zelensky, his English is fine.
Yeah.
No, his English is fine.
His English is,
that's the
I think, at least as good as Trump's. Yeah.
Zelensky's English is fine, but speaking American English is in the nuance, right? It's like the nuances of the way we speak, and it's vernacular. And I don't, oftentimes people take Trump the wrong way, like out of country. I mean, like foreigners take things the wrong way that when he says stuff is because of the way he speaks, because there's different types of, the way Americans speak. If you go from area to area, they refer to things in a different way, and things can mean a different thing based on where you are.
Well, that's
and
true.
Trump
that's
is his own time zone.
I mean, before the show, you and me and Robbie were talking about Japan, right? And like, so for example, in Japan, if someone says, hey, like your boss says, like, you should really come over to my house for dinner this weekend. That does not mean you're invited to dinner at all. In fact, you're probably not invited.
In Japan?
In Japan. You're probably not invited to dinner at all. What that really means is it's sort of like it's a statement like, I kind of like you. And it doesn't mean, let's eat.
Doesn't literally mean like, come to my house for dinner. So like with the same, if we stay on the Asian note, it's even if you offered me a piece of that tiramisu, Ted, and I really want it, but as a polite Asian, I'm going to say no. I'm going to decline.
Right.
At least 2 times. You have to insist on that third time.
I have to pretty much almost grab you and force it down your throat.
Right. Yeah. And then I'll say, okay, I'll take a piece of tiramisu. Thank you for offering, Ted. Thank you for offering.
Are you sure? Like, yeah.
Right. Yes. You have to do that multiple times because it's a cultural thing. And that's where I think it could be a problem when you're dealing with Zelensky, is because he's not a native English speaker, and he might infer that Trump is saying, go bomb Moscow.
That's fair. But I mean, but the point is that reporters shouldn't be inferring anything. Reporters shouldn't. If reporters aren't sure,
but Zelensky,
what they should say is that could be interpreted in any number of ways, and then list that. But that's not what they did here.
No, I agree. I mean, it's all because, obviously they most reporters do not like Trump, and they can't keep up. I got used to how he was the first term. I got adapted to him really quickly, but I don't think the world has yet fully, they're starting to get it, the whole world. I mean, we're looking at the C-SPAN footage of that horrible White House visit by Zelensky when he got booted out and couldn't even stay for dinner. But then the other day, or lunch, the other day, Mark Rutte was there, right? The new NATO boss, and he learned how to perfectly kiss up to Trump. And the deal that they're making, that Trump is making now to supply these long range weapons, you're laundering it through by way of the EU. You're selling it to the EU, knowing the intent of the EU is to give those weapons to Ukraine in order for them to attack Russians. And Trump, so he can say, I'm not supplying Ukraine with the weapons. I'm not doing it. Washington isn't doing it. But he also gets to have his cake and eat it too, because then he's greasing the palms of the DOD.
The assumption here is that Russians don't watch the news, which I don't think is true. Having been to Russia, I don't think that's true.
So, yeah, I think he's trying to pull a fast one here by saying, well, I'm not supplying the arms to Ukraine. I'm selling it to the EU. I'm selling it to the EU boss. Sorry, not the...
give them to Zelensky.
That's not... Just like when gun manufacturers say, we didn't sell guns to, Thomas Crooks, I think that's his name, right? The guy that tried to kill Trump last year, supposedly. We didn't sell it to him with the intent of him trying to shoot Donald Trump. He bought the gun. Whatever he does with it is his business.
Well, that's actually more credible. But, yeah.
But in this case, it would be like if Thomas Crooks told the gun shop or even the manufacturer, let's say Smith & Wesson, and he says, Smith & Wesson, I want to buy direct from the manufacturer. I'm going to get a better deal. And I want to go on a very sloped roof. Not sloped. I want to go on a slope roof in a couple of weeks to try to kill Donald Trump. And they're like, I don't know. We're just selling. Whatever you want to do with that gun, you do. It's not our business. We're just here to make arms and sell them. Mm-hmm. That's basically what Donald Trump is trying to do here. He's like telling the EU, I don't know, I'll just sell you some long-range missiles. Whatever you guys want to do, that's your business. Once you buy them, it's yours. You can resell them. You can gift them, because that's what the EU is planning on doing, gifting long-range weapons to Zelensky, because they do want to continue this war. And Donald Trump gets to say, I want to end this war. I'm the peacemaker. 50 days. 50 days. Let's make peace. He also
gets, before we move on, he gets to tell MAGA world, like, hey, we're not paying for these additional weapons to Ukraine. The Europeans are. It's those big, beautiful weapons. They'll pay for it. The Europeans will pay for it. Let's move on here. Hunter Biden, in his first interview since the election, denied that there was a grand conspiracy to cover up his dad's health, and said that the Dems only lost because they abandoned Biden. We lost the last election because we didn't remain loyal to the leader of the party, Hunter said in a Jamie Harrison podcast. He's the former chair of the DNC. That's my position. We had the advantage of incumbency. We had the advantage of an incredibly successful administration. And the Democratic Party literally melted down. You know what he's kind of forgetting, Manila? He's forgetting the fact that Joe Biden's poll numbers sucked throughout his presidency and were only getting worse by the time that he dropped out, right? He's kind of forgetting that. So even if it had been an incredibly successful administration, which I think it's fair to say that it had not been, it was not the people didn't believe it, right? And it's kind of like, well, if you didn't convince them that it was successful, then it probably wasn't successful. Anyway, Hunter
you got to tell people this is a very successful presidency.
So
it was. You're just wrong.
So successful. Harrison's podcast, At Our Table, which might be one of the worst named podcasts that's ever heard
At
in my
Our
life.
Table? That's the name?
At Our Table. This is like the satire thing. Between two ferns.
Between two ferns.
Right. Today on PBS Mystery Theater. Yes. At Our Table, a tale of two elderly British ladies, both with large cacti in their buttocks, is set to debut tomorrow, and it'll feature weekly episodes in which he interviews Democratic leaders.
This is their debut episode.
Hunter? Break-in with Hunter. Excerpts from the interview with Hunter came out yesterday morning. This morning. Joe Biden, 82 years old. Of course, we know what happened there. Dropped out. A number of books have been released that detail the campaign. One of them, Original Sin, by Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, proved to be the most
who you and John Kiriakou just had on your show.
Correct, and
I think you were too nice to
go and check that out if you're interested. Hunter disputed the idea that the interviews, he basically argued with 200 plus on the record interviews that Jake conducted with Biden insiders, including 3 of his cabinet members. Okay, so what do they know? That all said that there had been a massive cover up to conceal his physical and mental decline. Hunter said, "That's all bullshit. What sells, James? What sells is the idea of a conspiracy," he told Harrison, arguing that the ability to keep a secret in Washington is zero, and that his father, there was no secret, and that his father, that's why the voters turned against him, and that his father operated in such a fishbowl that it would have been impossible to cover up health problems. Yeah, it was, but they sure tried, right? Every single day, hundreds of people, Hunter Biden said, and you can't get one of them to go on the record and say, I saw the president do X. No, because they're all fucking afraid of the guy you're talking to on the podcast, the head of the DNC. Okay, so no, they're not going to go on the record and say that. Hunter Biden also denied reports that he played an outsized role behind the scenes. He said he stayed as far away as I possibly could. which, by the way, broke my heart. What a family, man! What a family!
Whatever.
It's like something right out of Shakespeare. These guys, it's really King Lear. I mean, it's Lady Macbeth. It's Lady Macbeth, right? It's Macbeth.
The Biden family. Oh my God! Like this.
It's Macbeth. Totally. I mean, Jill is Lady Macbeth.
Yeah, as we're finding out little by little.
Yeah, it's very strange because she wasn't that enthusiastic about being a political wife until suddenly she became that. So it's people change.
Well, she became that because they handed her the reins of power because Joe suddenly fell off.
Yeah, she became the president. She's the second female president of the United States,
right, after
Edith Wilson. So yeah.
I mean, her husband's incapacitated. Clearly, I mean, what I have on screen here. The C-SPAN footage. Remember when Dark Brandon made his first appearance in Philly? Mm-hmm. That's what this speech is. And I was actually surprised during this speech, but it was still very early in his presidency where he kind of came out sharply against MAGA world and Donald Trump without even mentioning Donald Trump, But I mean, look how here, this is probably the peak of Joe's performance. And I think shortly thereafter, I think he went, and the reins of his presidency were given to Jill and Hunter. I think there were a lot of stupid decisions being made by the Biden family, and that nobody was willing to step out of line because as we know it, the DNC makes the wheels turn. And at that time, they were so over the moon to have an incapacitated POTUS that couldn't make decisions, because then the DNC got to do it. And all Jill and Hunter had to do was pull dad's strings, right? Like Weekend at Bernie's, just like, and it was happening. Whatever the DNC wanted, it was happening because Jill and Hunter had their own grifts going. And of course they're going to say, Pops was fine. He was great. Everybody's just a hater. That's seriously? You're telling us again to disbelieve our own lion eyes? Like, when is Hunter going to give up that grift? And I don't know.
Well, also it's very
telling. Get a real job.
It's very telling what he has to say here, right? It's that, the problem here was a lack of loyalty. Now, I read Tapper's book twice and very carefully. And that's the theme that keeps coming out of the DNC.
Loyalty.
Always about loyalty, right? Okay,
that's
so
right.
Listen, so loyalty to whom exactly, Hunter? To your family and specifically to your dad. So let me wake you up, Hunter, in case you're still in case you had a relapse. So the only loyalty that an American has should be to the United States of America.
Right.
And to what's best for the country. There's no loyalty to an individual, no matter how admirable, hardworking, lovable he or she is. If that person is no longer the best person to bring the country forward, they're gone. I mean, whether that's, your father, me, Manila, Clovis, doesn't matter. It's there's no loyalty here. Loyalty is incompatible with democracy. Democracy isn't about loyalty. Democracy is about representative government, and whoever is the person who's best suited to do the job. I mean, I'm not arguing we have that now either. But the point is that whoever is best, I don't know if look, I'm 61 years old. I've never lived under a good president. What can I say? But I mean, maybe if I'd seen Thomas Jefferson, I would have been impressed. Maybe not. So but still, it's just loyalty. Fuck you and your loyalty, right. Hunter. It's we're not loyal to the party. We're not loyal to your father.
The man.
Yeah, this isn't a dictatorship.
Right.
In Nazi Germany, you took a personal oath of loyalty to Adolf Hitler if you were in the military. Okay, we don't do that. Members of the U.S. military don't take an oath to the President of the United States. They take an oath to uphold and preserve the Constitution of the United States. That's our
Right.
loyalty.
And
it's
I mean,
and
John
and by the way,
Kiriakou.
it's unconstitutional that Hunter's dad was still president when he was clearly incapacitated. It literally violated the 25th Amendment that said that someone like that should be forcibly removed. And if Kamala Harris had any integrity whatsoever, she would have pulled that trigger and kicked him out. And by the way, she might be president today if she'd done that.
If she sacked up and was like, this guy needs to go.
She womaned up and did what needed to be done. And look, the thing about Gen X, you and I are both Gen X, Manila, and the one character trait Gen X has is we take out the trash. We recognize garbage and we throw it out. It's like Kamala Harris is Gen X.
That's why we're not a popular generation.
It's true. It's true.
Nobody likes us.
However, it's like as anyone who's ever lived through a garbage strike, as I have in Manhattan,
they're still going through it right now in Philly.
Trash collection's a very important job. And so, it's like the point is like Kamala Harris you were Gen X 1.0, just like me. Like you should have taken out the trash. You fucked up.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I was bringing up John Kiriakou's name because, I mean, here's the shitty thing. Like with the CIA, the reason the CIA has gone so far out of its scope of existence, they were so mad at John because he took his oath seriously to the United States and to the Constitution. And when he blew the whistle,
he revealed waterboarding and other forms of torture at Guantanamo.
When he blew the whistle, that was due, and he has been quoted in saying this, that was due to his allegiance to the Constitution.
He chose his country over his bosses. That's what he did.
And that's why he got in trouble.
Yeah.
Right. And they put him in hot water because of it and nearly broke the man. I mean, it's a miracle
to federal
that
prison for 2 fucking years. So yeah, I would say
well,
so.
and literally broke him financially before they were like, okay,
destroyed his marriage.
We'll just do a plea. Yeah. Like that's the whole thing. And that's the kind of shit that Hunter is demanding out of look, first, let's just point out it's sour grapes that his dad didn't continue on the ticket. Number one.
By the way,
and
also,
then
where's the responsibility?
The party?
Right? By the way, here's another thing. It's not like, like when people say, oh, if voters who are apathetic, they're bad people because they don't vote. No. It's not your responsibility to be interested in politicians. It's politicians' responsibility to make you interested in them. And so if Joe Biden was incapable for whatever reason, if you ever watch that Netflix documentary, about Mitt Romney, the message is kind of like, well,
he was likable.
America missed the chance to have like a really nice man, a good family man, be president of the United States. Okay, fair. But whether it's Mitt Romney in 2012 or Joe Biden in 2024, the American people decided they didn't like him. Okay. And and when you're a politician, that's your job, is to get people. You're supposed to communicate. You're supposed to get people to like you. I don't know if I could do it. I've never run for office. Maybe I couldn't do it. It's entirely possible that people would be like, I hate Ted Rall. He's got a punchable face. Fuck him. That could happen. And then that just means it's not a job for me, right? And so that's what this is. Joe Biden had a 50-year political career. He ended about as shamefully as you possibly could, but he didn't need to. He could have just not run for re-election, and he would have faded into the sunset, and people would have not remembered how crappy he was.
He could have stuck to his campaign promise that he was there for one term. He was going to change everything he could and be the bridge.
Better yet, don't run in 2020. Endorse Bernie Sanders. Be a hero. Go play with your grandkids.
That was a DNC problem, though. That wasn't necessarily a Biden direct.
But there were other corporatists that they could have had. They
was a
could have
DNC
had
thing.
Beto O'Rourke or some bullshit.
By the way, God, Beto, no way. He's mired in his own bullshit over in Texas. So there's this breaking news coming from Fox. It says former Jill Biden aide Anthony Bernal pleads the Fifth during House deposition on Biden's mental competence.
Well, this is after that Biden's doctor did the same thing. Now, with the doctor...
Are they all taking the Fifth?
Now, with the doctor, you take note, he took the Fifth. He didn't plead only doctor-patient confidentiality,
Right.
which would
No
have been
HIPAA.
understandable.
He didn't just say HIPAA.
He literally pled the fifth, right? Well, what's the fifth?
I thought he took the HIPAA route.
Oh, no, he tried that and the fifth. He doubled up. So the point is that, like, he could have just said, like, I'm not sharing my patient's info. Although there's a solution to this too, right? Hunter and Joe could have gotten together and said, "Oh, I'm, doctor, feel free to release my medical records. I'm sign off. You're free to do that." They didn't do that, right? Ever. So, so we know what's real here. Okay. I mean,
this is, by the way,
if this were me right now, if I were president of the United States and I was questioned about my, my mental acuity, I would be like, bring it, fucking test me. Any test you want, bring in, anyone, bring in like Sean Hannity to test me. I don't give a shit. Bring it, bitches. Like, so if they can't do that, there's a reason for it, right?
So this is, I think, even more suspicious. Not that I haven't already had, come to my conclusion about Biden's mental acuity, but this is Dr. Jill Biden's aide, Anthony Burnell.
Mm-hmm.
That's her aide, not her husband.
They're all going to plead the fifth. They're all going to. Now, you could say, if you're
Jill's aides all saw.
If I were a Democratic spinmeister, my spin would be, we're going to take the fifth. We're all taking the fifth in order to show contempt for this process because we think it's illegitimate.
Right.
But come on, they're not even trying that. The truth is, they are guilty of conspiracy. I mean, the truth is,
and they don't want to get in trouble for that, and that's why they're
I'm not even sure what the crime would be, though, right? I mean, so if you know that
they don't want to be under contempt of Congress, so they're saying.
But how can you be charged, right? I mean, you're not really going to be charged. They just don't want to spill the beans, right?
They don't want to spill the beans and be under contempt of Congress.
It should be illegal to work for the president, know that he's senile, and not say anything, but it's not illegal.
But Ted, let me ask you this. So Steve Bannon got put away for many months for basically the same thing, contempt of Congress, because he didn't want to answer some shit about Donald Trump.
Well, he didn't. He didn't take the fifth. He didn't show up.
Oh, he didn't take the fifth?
Yeah, he
was a no-show.
He blew off their subpoena, like, fuck you.
Well, that's
frankly, that shows some I give him credit for it. Shows some balls,
It does. But effectively, these people, are playing by the rules, showing up and just kind of doing the same thing, being like, I'm taking the fifth on this. I'm just showing up so you can't Steve Bannon me. That's the idea. You can't Steve Bannon me.
I mean,
I showed up.
Look, this is what I'm sure their attorneys said to do, and and they're following their lawyer's advice. But I mean, we all know what it means, right? I mean,
because we all know that Joe was in Depends.
What's self-incrimination? I mean, incrimination for what? Like, let's just say, I mean, again, it's not against the law to conspire to keep a senile old coot, in charge of the launch codes. Again, it's not against the law for a police department to buy a major newspaper. It should be, but it's not. It's sort of like it's like in Germany. That guy who ran the ad saying, "Hey, come to my house and I'll kill you and eat you," and someone did, and so but there was no law.
Did,
and he did,
and he did.
And he did. And it wasn't against the law at the time. But in Germany, they don't have a prohibition against retroactive punishment. So they passed a law just for him so that they could take him off the street, because they were like, we don't really need that guy running around on the street. And you know what? I'm on Team Germany here. I think they're right.
He was an advertised cannibal?
Yes, he said, come on over and I will slaughter you and eat you. And all the details are in an old New York Post story. Basically, he had several takers. He had like a dozen people who wanted to be eaten. And but one guy came over. They
wanted to be killed and eaten.
Correct. And they sat down and had some wine and they were hanging out. And the guy said, let's start. This is all true. Let's start by cutting off my penis. I've always hated it. Let's fry it up and eat it. They cut off his penis. They fried they fried it up in a pan. Of course, as shockingly, he was bleeding a lot. God. So the guy said, the victim said, I'll go upstairs to the bathtub because I'm not feeling so great. Meanwhile,
you think?
while the penis was frying up, he was upstairs bleeding out. By the time, and sadly, before the gourmet meal was complete and ready for consumption, the man died. So at that point, the killer chopped up his body and kept all the parts in the freezer, and ate it over time. And I don't remember how it came to light, what had happened, but ultimately the German police came to his house and found what remained. And maybe he was reported by someone on the internet, but anyway, it all came to light. And he was arrested, but the prosecutors were flummoxed because there was no law to do. Even in Germany, they hadn't thought of this, right? It was like, well, it's like, oh, we're going to really need a law for people who kill people who are happy being killed. The guy had
voluntary
There's
murder.
No question that it was voluntary. The guy he has a video of like, oh, I can't wait. I'm so happy this is going to happen today. So like, so the point, it's a weird fetish. And obviously,
oh my god!
And then the guy,
I missed that story.
Yeah, so Germany. So then the Bundestag decided, yeah, we better make that illegal. And it was like, by the way, so that law we just passed, you broke that like a couple years ago. So, bam, off to prison with you. I don't know if he's out yet. But
I gotta find that after I put out some of my fires. But speaking of the Germans, that's the next story too.
It is. Let's
oh no, on. Not the next story. Actually, that's the last.
All right.
No.
So let's talk about the Brits.
No.
So the Brits set up a secret scheme to bring in, Manila, you would say, smuggle in thousands of Afghans into the UK after their personal details got disclosed and leaked in one of the worst ever hacks of data, putting them at risk of reprisals, supposedly, from the Taliban, although we'll get into that. That's kind of bullshit. So concerns that these Afghans who had worked with the UK occupation authorities under NATO in Afghanistan could get targeted by the Taliban after they came back to power in 2021, led the Tory government to set up the relocation scheme involving thousands of people, estimated to have cost the British government about £2 billion. That's $2.7 billion if you're exchanging that money. The Ministry of Defense leak in early 2022, which led to data being published on Facebook in 2023, and then the secret relocation program were subject to what's called a super injunction that stops the media in the UK, because they don't have a free press there, reporting what happened, which was then lifted on Tuesday by the court. British Defense Minister John Healey said he was sorry about the leak, which included details about members of parliament, senior military officials who supported applications to bring the former Afghan National Army soldiers who had worked as traitors with the Brit occupation authorities and their families relocate to the UK. He said about 4,500 Afghans and their families had been relocated or were already on their way to the UK under the idea, but he said no one else from Afghanistan going forward will get asylum due to this, citing a review that found, this is hilarious, little evidence of intent by the Taliban to seek retribution against former officials. Manila, you know who lives in Kabul right now? Hamid Karzai, the former president of Afghanistan.
He went back?
He didn't go back. He stayed there. He never left. And he's living fine.
I thought Hamid Karzai, with his funny hat collection.
You're thinking of Ashraf Ghani, his successor.
Karzai's the one with the funny hat? Funny hats? No, I thought he took off with
dapper
Karzai. Of money.
No.
That was Ghani.
That's Ghani. Yeah, Ghani
that was
took
Ghani
off with the chopper with the gold bullion.
Well, understandably, Ted, Hamid Karzai, with all of his fashion.
Yeah, he's good looking. Yeah.
He's a handsome man. The Taliban was like,
he's too hot. We can't let him go.
We can't. Yeah, he's the national treasure. He's like their Brad Pitt.
He's too good. He's too good looking. I mean, he's a traitor,
but
he's a great looking traitor.
But he's suave and debonair. Yeah, so we'll just let him live there with all of his hats.
I would say if the Taliban are going to let him live there, I'd say probably like some schmo who like worked as a translator probably doesn't have a shit ton to worry about.
I don't know. I think because Ashraf Ghani would bring too much heat
You mean
on them.
Karzai?
Hamid Karzai. Damn it. Hamid Karzai. Karzai and his hats would bring too much heat on the Taliban because he's too high profile. Whereas some schmo.
Are you kidding me? Do you remember what the Taliban did to the Soviet-backed president, Najibullah? So Najibullah was deposed in 1992. He sought refuge at the UN compound in Kabul in 92. The Taliban came to power in 96 in Kabul, dragged Najibullah out of the UN compound, former president of Afghanistan. They disemboweled him, cut off his penis. This is a double penis removal show today. Might be triple. The show's not over yet. And dragged his body around and shot him and stabbed him and hung him from.
They turned him into a piñata, is what I remember.
And they hung him from the post on Chicken Street, which is the main shopping street in downtown Kabul.
Is that an official name?
Yeah. And it's, I guess at some point they sold chickens there. And anyway, and they left him.
Yeah,
and they left him with cigarettes in his mouth and Afghan currency hanging out of his pocket to show that he was corrupt. That's what the Afghans do. When
I seem to remember that. They strung him up like a piñata after they beat him up and did some horrible things.
It's pretty similar to what happened to Mussolini, right? So, yeah. All I'm saying is,
the story
the Taliban have barely even been spicy with the people who worked for the former occupation regime, which I think, frankly, is very nice of them. I'm not sure I would view things so solicitously if I were them, but because they are traitors and they betrayed their country. But nothing's worse than working with occupiers.
But isn't the crux of this story the incompetence of the British intelligence that's collected
that's it. But it's also like, when you think about the whole thing, it's like, then after the data breach, they were like, we have to bring them in because they'll all be killed. There's no evidence of that at all, right? So it's kind of like, you didn't have to have this program to smuggle them in. This is all in your fevered mind. This is all just your
Putin's. Just like Putin's gonna re-establish the Soviet Union or the Russian Empire,
just like that, exactly like that. Yeah.
So it's just what they're projecting.
Or just like the big bad Palestinians are going to kill all the Israelis and
all Jews
and establish their caliphate from the river to the sea.
Yeah. All Jews in the world.
Jews. Right. All Jews in the world.
Everywhere.
Mamdani wants to kill all the Jews in New York City, like that.
That's right.
It's you're crazy. You're paranoid and insane, and it's baseless.
So I'm not saying I trust the Taliban, obviously, but if the UK government is actually saying, but we have no evidence of this, they're saying it themselves, but yet they're going to move forward with this secret plan to bring in 10,000 whatever Afghan aides or whatever they were, aides, translate, whatever.
Well,
could be
a lot of them were
canteen boy.
A lot of them were ANA. They were Afghan National Army, which is basically the Vichy troops that were.
Yeah. So even if such is the case, the fact that
their outfits
got caught fucking up the
so
data breach.
Their uniforms, I remember when I was there, their uniforms looked like janitors' uniforms.
Like who?
Janitors, like custodians.
Janitors?
Yeah. They look
like janitors?
Yeah, look up like an Afghan National Army image search. You'll see. Yeah, they looked like hey, don't point that gun at me. Go sweep that floor, bitch.
So they're like in a grown-up onesie, basically?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, so here's John Healey, the UK defense minister, being like, okay, you guys caught us. Our password to the whole Afghan data info
he's like a young version of Uncle Junior from The Sopranos.
Afghan 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys caught us. They broke it. Okay, fine. But then they go like it's this bad version of a cover up. And then while the UK is right now roiled in this Tommy Robinson style, like ethno-state nationalist type movement, right? Nigel Farage, all of these people on the far right. The whole country is roiled in this debate about having too many migrants there. Then you're going to get caught trying to bring in these Afghans. I don't care under what reason. The point is you're trying to bring them in surreptitiously so the UK public doesn't know. Well, that's not going to work out well.
Well, come on. I mean, who's going to notice Afghans? I mean, they look just like everyone else, except for being adherents to radical Sharia law, and their wives all wear burqas. But otherwise, they're just like you and me. Who's going to know?
Okay, Robbie, I know. I'm going to let you get a word in edgewise here. I know.
It's just insane. I mean, it's insane. It is a betrayal.
There's multiple stories here. Right? There's the data. Like they were derps and fucked up the data. Like people were able to hack into it.
They didn't protect their own lackeys.
It wasn't password protected.
Yeah,
they accidentally emailed it to people.
Yeah, I think.
Well,
that's
right. so then they get caught after the data leak happens. They don't. Not only do they not try to clean up their mess, but then they're like, oh shit, what's our response? Our response is let's bring in 10,000 Afghans under the radar so that the UK population doesn't know we're smuggling them in.
Well, it's similar.
Work well.
Well, I mean, first, I don't think it was an IT issue. I think it was a leak. It's kind of
like somebody
100%. Oh God, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like whenever the Podesta emails were released to WikiLeaks. It's the same thing. I mean, that's the kind of IT issue it is. It's that someone's just like, no, you're not going to do this. So I think that's number one. Number two, Britain has got major problems already. They got problems with grooming. They have problems with Sharia courts being set up in their country. They have problem with the society literally being destroyed. And so the British response is shut up, racist. We'll put you in jail for speaking out against this, while we break law to bring in 10,000 traders who bring nothing of value whatsoever to the country. If you speak up about it, then, true to form, they pull the race cards, they shut up racists, shut up nativists, shut up white supremacists. And it's just like, no, how about you shut up? It's my country. It's my country. These people are traitors. They betrayed their country. They have nothing in common with us. And you're bringing them over when we got problems of our own.
But they were traitors to try to help the UK.
Once a traitor, always a traitor. Once a cocksucker, always a cocksucker, to quote Papal. It is what it is. Ted had it right. The worst thing you can do is help a collaborator or is help an occupier. That's the worst thing you can do is be a collaborator in that situation.
Because think of my grandfather, who was in the French Resistance, and he told me, and I've read this to be true, that in 1944, when France was liberated, the Wehrmacht, who were the regular German army soldiers, in many cases, the resistance drove them to the train station, helped them pack their bags, shook their hands, wished them farewell and good luck. And then...
Yeah, they were doing their jobs.
Correct. That was the point of view. The resistance didn't have any beef with them. But the French collaborators, the French who worked with Vichy, who were part of the Milice, which was the collaborationist army that worked with the Nazis to round up Jews, they were shot like dogs, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, I completely agree. And no, if I kind of tie this in with Trump, I'll go away because I know we have to go here soon. These two things look very similar. You have two different governments, supposedly representative democracies, which obviously are not. Completely disregarding the will of the people, going out of their way to protect people from prosecution, from breaking the law, that if anyone else had violated would be put under the prison. But if you are an elitist, if you are a government official breaking the law, whether it's importing migrants or whether it's sex trafficking, it doesn't matter. There's no consequences for you or for your actions. And people are finally starting to realize our government is our enemy, and it is a beautiful thing to see.
Well, Robbie, what are you saying? Look, You mean this population right here?
Yeah.
You don't think they're going to blend in just fine in the UK?
Look, I love Afghans, and I disagree that they don't have anything to offer us. I think they're
Well,
they're
they
some
do.
of the
Sure.
hardest working
I mean, they
people
have
in the
Sharia
world.
law. They have. I mean, they have.
No, they're really, really smart because all after 42 years of civil war, all the dumb ones are dead, right? So, like, just from a Darwinistic point of view alone,
I'm saying they're stupid.
but
I'm
they're
saying
not
they're
stupid. So
ideologues.
I'm just saying, I'm sure they have a lot to contribute. They probably could help keep the Brits keep their data more secure. But I take the broader point that this is the kind of thing that ought not to have been done sneakily without, like, the political buy-in of the English people, right? Obviously.
Yeah, no, I agree.
If it's a democracy, I mean, the people ultimately have to greenlight it. They should have a say. If you don't have a say,
100%.
then stop pretending like you're a democracy. We're a democracy in every way, shape, and form that Ukraine is. Let's just be honest. We have adopted the Ukrainian model of democracy, which is a rules-based system versus a laws-based system. So the rules don't apply for some people.
You got to be loyal to Joe Biden.
That's right.
Anyway, let's keep.
I have
going here.
Confederate
Loyal
blood.
to the party.
Customs
Listen, I have Confederate blood in my veins. I am not loyal to Washington, D.C.
I was aware of that fact. Customs officials smelled that something was up when, even before they unpacked the roughly 1,500 tarantulas that were hidden in boxes that were supposedly filled with 15 pounds of chocolate cake. So
15 pounds of cake?
That was supposedly it. The tarantulas
How big a cake is this?
were in a packet addressed to be shipped from Vietnam to North Rhine-Westphalia in West Germany. The venomous spiders were crammed into small plastic containers that were then filled into the cake boxes. A noticeable smell, inconsistent with the alleged contents of the cake, emanated from the packages when they were opened. That, according to officials at the Cologne Bonn airport. Majali, spokesperson for the customs office, said the tarantulas were mostly alive when they were discovered, but not all. Those that survived were placed in professional care. The person responsible for the package, which was found about 3 weeks ago, is now a suspect. The fact that the spiders died, or some of the spiders died, is actually a violation of German law for animal welfare. By the way, Germany passed some of the earliest animal welfare laws in the world under Adolf Hitler. And a lot of those are still in effect now. Anyway, the spokesperson couldn't confirm the exact charges yet. There's not a specific price value for the 1,500 tarantulas, but in Germany, adult tarantulas are traded online for hundreds of dollars. They average out about 5 inches long, and when they spread out completely, when they stretch their 8 legs, their leg span is up to 11 inches. Some species have been impacted by the pet trade, which is what we're talking about here, and habitat destruction. Back in November, it's not the first time.
Is that what this is, though? Was this a conspiracy for smuggling to sell with intent to sell, or a cruel prank?
No. This isn't a prank. This is to sell them in pet stores and stuff. In November, a 28-year-old South Korean dude got arrested for trying to smuggle hundreds of them, same thing, tarantulas, as well as centipedes and bullet ants out of Peru.
What the?
Now, that Korean dude used tape and belts to hold dozens of plastic bags and containers filled with the creatures around his belly when security officials at the airport in Peru noticed his swollen stomach and said, "Hey, bud, let's look underneath there."
Like, are you pregnant? Like,
are you pregnant with something wiggly and vibrating?
What is okay? I don't know anything about the arachnid trade, and that it was so profitable.
Pets. People have tarantulas as pets, right? I mean, you don't have any goth friends who have a tarantula?
No, but I have a little baby cousin who's literally young enough to be my daughter. Yes, because my mom is number 2 of 7. So one of her sisters is basically like my sister. Her daughter, when she turned 5, she wanted an exotic animal show at her birthday party. So she got one.
Mhm.
And one of them, there's a picture of me with a tarantula on my head.
Right.
And I'm just
Right.
not for me. But I do know that exotic animal show cost a pretty penny.
Well, that's
So,
not this. That's not this. This
I
is
didn't-
this is
but I didn't know
like
it was
they
a
smuggle
thing.
them into all over the world, including here. A lot of them get caught entering from from Mexico into the United States. Also, sometimes they find them in the hubcaps of cars and stuff like that. So there a lot of snakes, all sorts of bugs like this, and they're very popular pets. A lot of people have tarantulas. They live quite a long time if they're properly cared for, and of course they're super interesting looking, and there's a lot of different varieties of them. So it depends on, what kind you're talking about. I had my tarantula experience on my old radio show, KFI in LA. I brought in. I suffered and still suffer from arachnophobia because I'm a human being. And so I had a phobia expert, a psychologist, come on the show, and she brought with her, I didn't know she was going to do this, she brought with her a terrarium with a tarantula in it. It was a rose tarantula. They're not the biggest, but it's still a tarantula. So I'd say it probably had about a 4 or 5 inch diameter. And basically we talked through like what makes tarantulas scary and all that stuff. And she was very validating of my fears. I won't go into the whole thing. We could talk about that during another show. But the point is, by the end of her segment, the tarantula, I was able to have the tarantula walk on my arm without losing my mind. And but it's not to say that I'm like, ooh, put them on my tongue. I love spiders. No, it's not like that. But I'm a lot better around them than I used to be.
Well, I'm not. I have a weird dislike of birds. I've only encountered that one tarantula, and the exotic pet person put it on my head so I can snap a picture. I don't have any real phobias of arachnids or other bugs, but I did have a fear of moths, which is weird.
Really?
I think it came from like Silence of the Lambs. I used to freak out. I went to therapy for that too.
Wow.
Because I don't know why I had that, where it stemmed from.
Did you watch Godzilla versus Mothra as a young girl?
Maybe I did watch it, but I don't think it stemmed from that. I was more scared of moths than
Moths,
gross
not
tarantula.
butterflies.
Not butterflies.
Butterflies
moths
are
in
A-okay.
particular.
Caterpillars?
Not my favorite, but I think because the moth moves
so
erratically, it's hairy, it moves erratically, and it doesn't whereas a butterfly kind of gently flaps
true.
around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and tarantulas are the same thing. They kind of, it's not that they have a predictive pattern, but you can see which direction they're moving. I can kind of, my brain can predict them.
They can be very fast, but that's not
sure.
So,
but not in the way a moth bounces around every place. And something about the moth used to terrify me, like in my early 20s. And we decided, me and the therapist decided that, okay, it was that it had erratic behavior and my brain couldn't process it. And that's what terrified me, was this creature that moved erratically.
AI needs to create a more predictive moth.
Maybe. But so tarantulas, I didn't know that the business was that big that people would try to do this.
Well, part of it is they're not all going to make it, right? That's part of the calculus.
Oh.
So you ship more than you need.
Oh. So they haven't made arrests yet.
No, they have a suspect.
They did?
They do.
A suspect.
Well, no, I mean they got the dude. They know who it is. I mean, it's like his name was on the package. It's not exactly like but, crazy detective work here. But
so I'm curious to know German law. Like, they're trying to get the guy that they're suspect.
Basically, the fact that they were
under
killed.
Animal welfare.
Yeah, well, the fact that basically you shipped animals. They died because you did that. So you hurt them. Therefore, you
But
broke
is
you
there
broke
had
German law.
had none of them died? Would this be
They might have
illegal?
just be considered to have gotten a free trip. Yeah,
I mean, would
maybe.
this be illegal if none of the tarantulas died?
It looks like maybe, although frankly, I think it should be illegal. I mean, first of all, it's animal cruelty, even if they survive the experience. But on top of that, there's there's the whole like you're not allowed to bring like a peach from like you buy it in Paris. You're not allowed to bring that peach to New York, right?
Right.
So if you can't bring, or entering California, as you know, as a California girl, there's checkpoints by the State Department of Agriculture at every highway entrance point. Same thing. Don't bring your peach from Arizona into California, lest it be carrying something that could fuck up California's agriculture business.
The ecosystem there.
It stands to reason that bringing in 11-inch spiders from the other side of the world might have an impact on Germany's ecosystem, right? I mean, they're not tarantulas don't live in Germany. So like obviously it seems like also from an agricultural control perspective that this violates EU and German law.
So here locally, and then we'll go to our final, story. Not really a story, it's just this day in history, but final thing I'll say about that is that here locally in the DC metro, we have, so not only is the Potomac River filthy and disgusting, as people have probably heard, not tarantulas, it's filthy and disgusting, full of sewage and whatnot, very similar to the Seine. You don't want to go swimming in it. It's disgusting, right? It's just filthy and full of toxic junk. But on top of it, there has been this massive outbreak. I forget the name of the fish, but there is some particular fish from Asia that some people somehow smuggled over from Asia. I don't remember what country or from what river or whatever, but there is some particular fish that has just been respawning that's from Asia. And it's considered like a pest fish that was introduced to the Potomac and other local bodies of water, and they're still trying to figure out
this snake.
How it began.
It's the northern snakehead.
That's it.
Which is not just in the Potomac River; it's all over the eastern United States. It's also insanely weird looking too.
Yes.
By the way, this is going to be our third penis reference into the show, because it does kind of look like a giant uncircumcised penis. It does.
So that fish, it's a snakehead fish. That's the one. And it eats up all the other fish that are supposed to be here.
It eats everything. Yeah.
It eats
nothing's eating it.
Right. So it's considered
although that would be the
smart
pest. Move. Taiwan historically had the highest concentration, variety, and number of highly poisonous snakes in the world.
What?
Until not that long ago, until like the 70s and 80s. And it had for the most notorious was the so-called two-step. You can imagine why it's named that. You get bitten, you take 2 steps, and they will be the last 2 steps you ever take.
Oh my God.
Anyway, the point is, and like my ex told me stories of growing up poor in a traditional house with dirt floors, and during typhoon season, her grandmother would sweep all the poisonous snakes that came in out of the rain out the door, like, you rascals, you get. And so, which always cracked me up. And anyway, the thing is that the Taiwanese government solved the problem by encouraging Taiwanese people who are very omnivorous to eat them. And that really did the job. So I think that the key here is for the state of Maryland to have a let's eat snakehead fish fry, and encourage everybody to fry those boys up and eat them.
I think those fish are native to the Mekong River in Laos and Thailand.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know how I got here. It wasn't this Lao person though, because I've never been to Laos. So wasn't me. And it became a problem before I got here. So I learned about it, and I remember thinking, oh, I've seen pictures of this fish before. So I don't know. You can eat them though. You can if you catch them. I don't know why. They need to eradicate it.
They have a big range. This particular fish, according to Wikipedia, the northern snakehead, which from the side is actually a cool looking fish, is native to China, Russia, North Korea, South Korea.
Russia. Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So they're northern snakehead. So maybe it's different types of snakeheads. I don't know.
You might have the southern snakehead there.
Yeah, maybe. I've seen pictures of. They look like eels to me.
Yeah,
kind of, but
they definitely have an eel looking.
A pointy fish head. They look like demon fish.
Yeah, agreed. And there's different snakeheads. There's no southern snakehead, weirdly.
Oh, there isn't?
No, but there are many snakeheads.
Oh, all right. There you go. All right, and then finally, this day in history.
By the way, you should know that the record is a 30-pounder caught in Malaysia.
Ugh.
So they get pretty big. Oh, by the way, they are considered delicious. Oh, look at this.
That's what I heard.
In the United States, chefs have suggested controlling the snakehead invasion by serving them in restaurants.
Oh.
In Indonesia, they're considered a delicacy.
That's why, invasive species here.
It is a favorite food.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, that across Southeast Asia that they're eaten and that they're quite yummy.
Well, that's the thing to do. Is just eat them. I'm really not kidding.
But how do you fish for them? But they're invasive to like the Potomac. So
you fish for them the way you fish for anything, right? I mean, you use a worm.
Yeah, but then you're gonna get all these other fish. But anyway, you can't fish in the Potomac. Really, you can sport fish in the Potomac, but it's highly recommended not to eat them. Anything you catch from the Potomac, because the river is disgusting.
Well, I mean, I hate to say it, the snakeheads are probably helping to oxygenate the water. So,
really? I don't know.
Yeah, they're
all right.
They're helper bears.
This day in history.
All right. Okay.
Explosive story.
All right, here we go. Yes, indeed. So it's 80 years ago, the first nuclear bomb was detonated as an experiment in New Mexico, July 16th, 1945, 5:29 a.m. in the Llamada del Muerto desert. A 21 kiloton explosion lit the sky, thundered, and created a traditional mushroom cloud 38,000 feet high. This is called the Trinity test. No doubt you've seen the video of it. This was named supposedly by Oppenheimer in reference to a 17th century holy sonnet. He was quite the intellectual, and this was the culmination of the Manhattan Project, part of which took place, Manila is just about a mile from where I'm talking to you now, during World War II. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel spent 3 years racing to develop atomic weapons before Nazi Germany in a top secret mission spanning major sites in 3 states. I know part of it was in Philadelphia as well. Weeks later, the U.S. dropped similar A-bombs against Hiroshima and Nagasaki, instantly killing over 100,000 people. Over time, hundreds of thousands of more died. The war, of course, ended in the Pacific shortly, just days later. A lot of people died from radiation, cancer, etc. as a result of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I think it's still weird to me that people live there still. In related news, residents who lived near the Trinity test have recently become eligible for up to $100,000, woohoo, in federal reparations for health problems caused by radioactive fallout. Better 80 years late than never, Manila.
Well, Ted, 4th penis reference right there on screen.
That's the Donald Trump mushroom penis cloud.
That's ew. Oh, or we can everyone makes fun of Jeff Bezos, right, with his penis rocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
it is a penis rocket.
And they say it's modeled after his head, which is also penis shaped.
That's true. It is.
Jeff Bezos, since he's gotten married, is growing out the Homer Simpson look now.
Is he?
Yeah. It's all white. His hair's all white, apparently.
Non-skanky, totally classy wife.
Totally. Apparently, he's growing out the white Homer Simpson hair. I didn't know his hair was white. His hair's white.
Well,
it's not.
We didn't know he had hair. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I thought he had alopecia. But turns out no. He has He has hair, but he's
why
trying
would
to
he-
look.
I don't know why. So look, honestly, obviously, of the many
He looked
problems
very
I suffer in
hairless.
life, I haven't lost any of my hair. This is all for whatever it's worth. This is my hair at the age of almost 62 years old. I think I lucked out in the hair sweepstakes.
Pretty lucky. Pretty
Yeah,
lucky. You
could
and
be
Robbie are
worse.
some pretty
I mean,
hairy-headed men. That's pretty good.
So
Looking pretty good. Middle-aged men with all your hair.
62 ain't middle-aged. But anyway, the thing is,
Well,
I guess in
no,
a way,
middle age
it
is
not.
a longer stretch now, and then you hit the Biden, and then you tip. But
yeah, then you're fucking finished.
but on today's day in history, obviously this is the test that changed the world, and then for the U.S. government to be like, I know if you're still alive now, you were 5 years old when this test happened, and yes, I know your house was 5 miles away. You breathed in radiation when you were 5 years old. Here's $100,000.
It's hard to imagine now, but
here you go.
The government didn't tell shit to anybody about how dangerous this was. And like there's accounts of little girls who lived near the test site. They thought it was snowing, and when the radioactive ash came out, they stuck out their tongues to catch what they thought were the flakes. And,
oh my God.
I mean, it's like they didn't tell shit. And it's not like the government didn't know. Don't forget, I mean, Marie Curie died of radiation poisoning, 50 years earlier, right? So it's not like the dangers of radioactivity were unknown. I mean, hell, to that point, part of the Manhattan Project was held in the basement of the physics building at Columbia University.
Crazy.
And it was.
You mean your unaccredited university,
that's
Ted?
right,
of which you're an alum?
My beauty school. And like you enter Pupin Hall on the 5th floor, and you're like, why am I entering on the 5th floor when it's ground level? Manhattan Project. So I don't know. This probably isn't true anymore, but back in the early 80s when they still weren't really paying attention to anything, the elevator, you'd come in at 5, and like you could go to 4. There was a basement, but then like 1, 2, and 3. If you took the elevator down, the elevator would go down to 1, 2, and 3, and then there was a lead wall. Well, that's because the basement's still hot from the Manhattan Project, and so
wow,
so basically, and they put the physics building. They're like, whatever. Put some lead lining down there. It's fine.
Wow.
If you think that's fine, we did have Geiger counters, and the whole building was hot. It wasn't like super hot. It was hot, for sure.
Weird. I mean, it's crazy to think, and seeing the video footage that this was the day that the world changed, Ted. Like, this was the day.
Right. I mean, look, and for the record here, I'm completely violently opposed to the use of the atomic bomb against Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Obviously,
for a variety of reasons. The selling point was that it was necessary to finish the war. Look, the Japanese were going to be defeated no matter what. They'd already
surrendered.
They had no, that's not true. No, that's not true. They were going to surrender though.
Well, I heard they were en route to Geneva to do the actual paperwork. Robbie says no.
No, that's not true. No, they surrendered because of this. But the fact is, they would have surrendered within a month, no question about it. The U.S.
Yeah,
didn't
I
give
heard that they had.
So with Hiroshima,
arrived at the decision.
Hiroshima was August 6, 1945. The as you can imagine, after with all the state of the military and communications at the time in Japan with the war and everything, the Japanese Imperial High Command got reports in Tokyo, but they couldn't ascertain what had happened. Right? They didn't really understand it, so they tried to send people down there to figure it out. But the Americans only gave them 3 days before they dropped the second larger one on Nagasaki. That did the trick, and then like they surrendered. I guess it was about a few days, just a day or two later. But the point is that they didn't give them enough time really after Hiroshima. They didn't warn them. They could have invited them to come and witness one of the tests and say, like, listen, Mr. Ambassador, this is what's going to happen to your city. They didn't do anything like that. And what's really the thing is, Japan would have been defeated without it, and it established this terrible precedent that it's okay to use them. And so the thing is, like Osama bin Laden even said that Al Qaeda was trying to get nuclear weapons, and the U.S. would have no one to blame because it itself had previously used them. And both Hiroshima and Nagasaki were completely civilian targets. They were not military targets.
That's right.
So Harry Truman was a shitheel and a loser, anti-union, pro-McCarthyism, dipshit, fucked up, started the Cold War all by him. I mean, FDR had a nice relationship with Stalin. We would have carved up the world between us. But no. Truman had other ideas, and he did this. Terrible president, idiot. And so, to me, this is just like one of the most disastrous acts that the United States ever committed. Just horrible.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's crazy that we're looking at the actual video footage of the Trinity test. We saw it in the Oppenheimer movie. It's one of the few movies I watched, Ted, as of recent. Interesting movie, interesting topic. And I mark this as the day the world changed. And for better or worse, as the U.S. led by example, by dropping multiple A-bombs on civilian populations. Thus, the rest of the world went, I need that as a deterrent against those assholes that dropped the bomb on civilian populations.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hilarious, right? Like, here we are, like, we can't let other countries have the bomb. They're really dangerous and scary. And we're the only country in the world that did it not once, but twice, as soon as we got it, by the way, within seconds of getting it.
3 weeks.
Couldn't wait.
Like,
couldn't fucking
how
wait.
fast can you package this puppy up? Let's it.
Let's go. No thinking it through, right? And then also, like, and both times against civilian targets and against a country that was defeated anyway, right? So,
this is so crazy that this happened on this day 80 years
the fuck
ago,
are we
and then
be telling
literally 3 weeks.
And we're the self-appointed, like, arbiters of the club master of the nuclear club.
Yeah, and
Absurd.
3 weeks later, we're bombing Japan.
You have things you need to
crazy.
go do. I know. Don't use any nuclear weapons on anyone.
I'm trying to. This show has actually calmed me down, so I don't go nuclear. So I don't go fucking nuclear when I head over someplace.
Don't follow the Truman precedent.
Trying to not go nuclear. I'm not going to reveal. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm not going to reveal what's happening.
No,
maybe another at a later date. But let's just say I'm a furious homeowner right now.
That can happen.
Furious. So, so all right. So yes, I'm not going to go nuclear. That's going to do it for us here on the TMI show. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you smash that like button. Hit the follow button. And Robbie, do we have to do a word from a sponsor anywhere? Thumbs up? Nope. Okay. So we are free to go. Please hit that like button and the subscribe button wherever you're consuming this content. We appreciate you being here. Adios, amigos. Bye.
Bye.